people, we are back for another episode of Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm your host, Matthew K. Pickleball, and I am joined by my colleague, Mr. Wilson. How are you today? You look happy. I like to see that. You look happy. I like that smile. How are you doing?
Hey Matt, I'm doing good. Another day mm, in paradise. I mean, it's been nice and sunny. I didn't get any pickleball in today, but I hope you got some pickleball recently at least. How about have you
Ooh,
been
my
playing?
friend. My friend. Well, I've been behind on the reviews and I've been trying to catch up. I have I have a number of scripts written and ready to record. I just posted my Ruby Pro review. Folks, if you haven't watched that, check it out. I'm giving away a pair of Slyce pickleball shoes in that review. Make sure you check it out. Very interesting paddle as well. But yeah, aside from that, I actually hadn't been playing that much. But then, we're recording episode 26 of Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm like, holy smoke, I need to have some stuff to talk about. And I know I was texting you because folks, my car broke. And so I've been it's been all over the place. And I was like, Wilson, texting Wilson because he saves me not only in the games but on the pod. I was like, "Do you think you have enough to talk about? Because I don't know if I'll get to play." But Wilson, I managed to sneak away this morning. I played some pickleball. I've got thoughts on some paddles. But you want to know what happened to me at Open Play today?
What happened?
I got stung by a bee.
Oh no.
I was up at the kitchen playing with. I was hitting. We were actually getting. This lady I play with quite a bit. We were getting a pretty fierce hands battle, and I feel something, a big old glob of something like on my neck. I was like, but this is fierce. This is fierce. So I'm going, but then boom, I got stung, and then my other hand, my one hand's holding the paddle, then my other paddle shoots up to my neck, and I throw this thing off. It was this big old thing. Then
Oh,
I pulled the stinger out. And then you know what? I did a major faux pas after that. I I kindly asked this lady I play with quite a bit, can we redo that point? And so I should have let her have it though, because it was a hands battle. And she was hitting, she was playing well. I was playing well too. Like it was a little good rally, but she let me take it over. It was very nice. Everyone was worried. They're like, "Are you allergic? Are you allergic?" And
yeah. I'm glad you're
fortunately,
not allergic. I mean, you're here, so you must not be allergic to it, but
I'm here.
that's a good
I'm
thing.
here. All right, folks.
Have you been
So
stung by a bee before?
I was trying to think back. They asked me, my twin brother just got sting recently. And so I felt pretty confident I wasn't allergic, but I remember being stung like when I was 3 or 4. But I think now I'm thinking back on, I think it must have been a wasp because I remember it hurting a lot more. I cried back
Oh,
then and my mom like had to comfort me. But here, I was like, let's redo the point. I'm good. So maybe
good.
I've toughened up. Maybe I've
I'm glad
toughened
you're
up.
okay though. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And I know I know everybody was worried. It was worried after that story, but I'm here. So yes, it's all okay. And on that note, time for a few reminders. All right, if you listen to that whole anecdote and you haven't hit the subscribe button, what the heck? We don't get any more boring than that. So that means you're a fan. So hit that subscribe button, throw us a like. And then, another reason to subscribe to the channel is I'm always trying to do giveaways. I'm actually branching out into accessory giveaways because I can't always get paddle companies to let me give away paddles. I always try. It doesn't always work out. But now if I can't give away a paddle, I'm trying to give away some accessories. So I already mentioned those Slyce pickleball shoes. Check out the 6-0 Ruby Pro review. I'm still giving away a Honolulu notch foam paddle. And then by the time this airs, you might just make entering the Thrive Fury and the Carbon True Foam Genesis 4 raffles. So check
It
those out. Those
sounds like you have a lot of paddles to give away already. So I don't know why people haven't been, subscribing and
oh,
entering.
Did you guys hear that? Don't tick Wilson off. Subscribe. Subscribe. You don't want to see him upset. And on that note, I want to just move right into things because we've got a good amount to cover. And I just had a few gear alerts first. Okay, first off, we all know. Okay, first off, we haven't talked about this paddle recently, but this is the Invader from Bread and Butter. They've got the Loco series right now, the foam paddles, which are probably going to make everybody's like top 10, top 5, top 3 paddles of the year. But if you want a freaking out of this world looking paddle, you gotta look at the Invader. It's an awesome paddle. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see enough of these out there. This came out during a crowded time. Very fun paddle. A great touch. But why I bring it out, why I brought it out of my bag is, you see that right there? You see that? Is that in reverse? I don't know what's going on. Slyce. It was upside down. This is a Slyce SpeedCap. And Wilson, I know you know this, but for folks that don't know, the handle weight can give you more mass, some more weight down here. It helps firm things up. It can create some more stability. The biggest thing, though, it also shifts the balance point of the paddle a bit. And then another aspect that I think is why I really love putting handle weight is it can make, because it shifts that balance point, this isn't an example of that, but it can make paddles with heavier swing weights feel like less swingy, faster in the hands, more maneuverable by adding some weight in the handle, without like reducing the pop by putting weight down here. And that's why I really like it. It makes power paddles quicker in the hands, but it also makes doing whips and flicks and all that stuff, which you're always telling me you do too much of that, Matthew. It makes that easier. And then the Slyce cap in particular, and this is something I know you're a fan of. Let's also shout out to Aurora over at Bread and Butter, Doug's daughter. She designed this freaking thing. It looks awesome. So shout out to her. And congratulations, Aurora. You recently got married. And so congrats. I hope there was some pickleball at the reception. But anyway, I'm saying all of this because I love the Slyce cap. And one thing I think you like your ends of your grips really bulky compared to up here.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of built into the Slyce SpeedCap. But here's the thing about the Slyce SpeedCap. Once you install it, you're kind of stuck without weight. And there are a lot of new options coming out onto the scene, but they just adhere to the end of the butt cap. You don't get that beefy hold down at the bottom of the handle. Well, guys and gals, I just discovered Slyce makes what they call an externally adjustable weighted speed cap. And so you have this is just like this, except there's this little disc right here that you can swap out with other little discs. They've got 1, 5, 10, and 15 gram inserts. And don't forget the speed cap. I just weighed it. It's 20 grams. So this is definitely, but you're replacing your original speed cap. So you're taking weight off, you're putting something heavier on. And yeah, you just put these little inserts into the cap. You just use a little Allen wrenchy thing. And I got one to test out on a Honolulu paddle. The thing about Slyce speed caps, you do need to order the one that is specific to your handle. But I thought that was really interesting, and I'm excited to try that out. And then they do make a version where you can switch out the discs on the inside of the cap. So say, usually you have to pick your weight of your speed cap, but that way you can switch it. I don't know why you would pick that one over this one, because this one is way cooler. But very cool company. Slyce, I think, were probably the first folks on the scene doing the handle weight. And so I wanted to highlight them because they're the OGs. But then I found out, dude, they have their own take on speed coins. So I was just talking about ones that just stick onto the butt cap. They make their own. They seem really nice, very hefty, and these come in 10, 15, 20, 25 grams. So these weights are for people that really want to weight up. Maybe for our friend that weighted the Ronbus up with like freaking 20 ounces of weight into his Quanta's handle. But I wanted to highlight those, and I am now set up. Promo code Matthew K works over there. Do you ever play with handle weight, Wilson?
Not so much. Honestly, other than a little bit of weight in the neck, I play most of my paddles, my elongated paddles, pretty stock. Yeah, I should probably experiment on it, but so far, the paddles I compete with, they just naturally don't feel that head heavy to me. So I never felt like the need to use um, handle weight, but. Hey, maybe I'll fall in love with it. I don't know. I'll have to give it a try next time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think as an elongated paddle lover, it's really, you're not going to be doing as many whips and stuff like that. I mean, and you have a very locked wrist when you
True.
play.
Yeah.
And so it's not for everyone. But if you're a player kind of that likes to do flicks and rolls and whips, I definitely think it's something fun to experiment with. And I think this one, where you can just easily switch it out and experiment, or just getting the coins where you can buy a few, or that's the insert, but the sticker ones that I was just showing.
Well, I'm glad they came out with
fun to play with.
I'm glad they came out with like an adjustable version because I think experimenting with the weights in the handle or the butt cap, it would be kind of difficult if you need to take out, undo the grips and everything and replace it with a different weight, So it's good that they came out with coins and even in the adjustable butt cap, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Unless you know what your setup is, if
Yeah.
you're a pro that knows this is my paddle, and this is how I set it up. And speaking of customizing paddles, I also, for our gear alert section, I wanted to alert folks to the fact that Bodhi has now released weighted tape. And so I've been talking to folks. I think tungsten might be getting expensive. I don't know if it's because of tariffs or whatnot, but folks are looking into alternatives. So basically, this is the same thing as tungsten, so non-toxic alternative to lead tape. And so you can tune your paddles. And yeah,
Do
I
you?
think I gave you some of this already.
Yeah, you did. Do you happen to know what material it is, out of curiosity? I haven't
I
looked at
think
mine yet.
it is.
Yeah.
I don't think they share.
Uh,
It's just non-toxic lead alternative. I'm sure it's
okay.
some sort of mixture. And then before we move on to all the fun, I did want to highlight one other accessory, which is the TriggerGrip Pro. You tested out one of the earliest
Yeah.
prototypes and gave them some feedback. I've got one. I still haven't put it on a paddle, and I need to because we were just talking about flicks and all that.
hmm
But this is getting a lot more popular. I'm seeing this pop up everywhere. Folks, comment down below. What paddle should I put this on? I need to know because I'm having, I can't pick. And so it's like, I need some help. Let me know. And now, Wilson. Oh, Wilson. Wilson,
Nice.
are you buckled? Are you buckled?
Yeah.
Because you need to buckle up because I've got some breaking news coming from Honolulu Pickleball. Are you ready?
Ready?
All right, I need some more enthusiasm. Are you
Drum
ready,
roll.
Wilson?
Yes.
All right. There is a new paddle in the works. It is the J6 CR. CR for core reactor. All right. And I already covered the new J6 shape in my big NF paddle breakdown. I'll try to link that here. But I think it's one of Honolulu's best I think it's their best elongated shape that they've come out with. They finally embrace sort of a more rectangular shape. Although in that video I cover some older shapes that they did way back. And so this isn't their first one, but it's there's no throat hole in it. So it's a more traditional elongated, the J6 shape, except for this one, they've changed up the core. And so so I'll just tell you all the info I have. I have permission, I'm allowed to share this. But it's going to be an all foam paddle with a fully floating core, and it's a multi-density foam build, and the main part of the core, so the centerpiece, is going to be EPP, expanded polypropylene. And then the thing that sort of is separating this paddle from, I guess, a lot of the other EPP foam paddles or floating core paddles is it has what the owner of Honolulu Pickleball described to me as a unique pivoting joint. So I don't have an X-ray. I don't have a schematic, but hopefully I'll get that. But that sounds unique because he said it's unique. Pivoting joint. Joints in paddles. What is this? We will need to find out more. But I mean, Honolulu's that notch foam core build technique in the NF series. We still haven't seen that really trickle down and be utilized. There is a little bit of an exception. We're going to talk about it, but it's not in the same way that Honolulu does it. And one of my issues with these multi-density foam core builds is sometimes there's some unwieldy propulsiveness. And I think that notch foam design in particular is really nice. And so I'm excited to see what this pivoting joint could mean. Because I think over at Honolulu, whoever's testing the paddles, I don't know if it's JM the owner or whoever, but I think their style is in sync with my style. So I'm excited to see. And I got more info though. There are going to be two versions, a Poppy Power version, and then another version that's going to have longer dwell time, but also a power version. Except that version is going to have top tier power while maintaining all court control. So less poppiness is how I took it, because the other one is just going to be all out power and pop. So two versions, super poppy and powerful, and then another that has more dwell time but still lots of power. So
That kind of reminds me
very
of
interesting.
the VSOL pros and the powers. Huh? We'll see what that's going to be like.
We'll see, except it sounds to me that Honolulu is using the same core design, whereas the VSOL V Power or VSOL Pro and
It's different.
Power
Yeah.
use completely different core designs,
Yeah.
which
Uh,
I think makes it kind of confusing.
is the CRs only coming in the J6 form?
That's what he told me. I got a photo
Wow.
of a prototype, and
No
so
J2, huh?
maybe
J2, they're the thing that made them so big, the J2.
well, I mean, in my experience when I was playing with the FC Plus
Hmm.
core design, which I have a feeling this is potentially more in that design than the notch foam, although I haven't seen a schematic or anything. I think it performed better in that elongated J6 shape.
Mm.
And so I think for folks that are wanting max power, they're leaning towards elongated anyway. But to be honest, like Honolulu, like they'll do a core and they're set up for a shape, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think it'd be crazy if they don't do it in the J2 as well.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
imagine that will come. But right now, the J6 CR is being hit. The prototypes are being hit by Honolulu's pro players. And and they're actually getting the final prototypes right now. The color and the graphics are still being sorted. So if I've put up an image, if there's an image in the thumbnail, that's not going to be what they look like. But folks, let Honolulu know, what do you want the paddle to look like? Because I know everyone's got an opinion about that. But I only share this now because I know this sounds like, well, we don't have a release date or anything. Honolulu never has release dates. They, as soon as they're available, as soon as they get them from their factory, they're put up on the site. And so, folks, be ready. J6CR, 2 versions coming from Honolulu. It could happen fast for all we know. It could be who knows? But every time I find out like some info, some intel from Honolulu, boom, I see them up on the website. And so that's the Honolulu news. Are you excited, Wilson? I know you love that elongated.
J6 all the way.
All right. Okay, folks, if you've hung around with us this long, hopefully, I don't know, let me know. Do you guys want when I can find out this stuff, do you want to know about it? Or if we haven't been able to hit with it, are you like, just leave us alone. Don't bother us. I don't know. Let us know. I'm curious. But let's talk about the stuff we have hit with. So let's do What Are We Testing Right Now? This segment is presented by our friends over at SwiftNet. If you're looking for the absolute best portable pickleball net, one made out of aerospace grade carbon fiber, if you need to make a freaking helicopter out of your pickleball net, this is the one. This is what MacGyver would get. SwiftNet. Promo code Matthew K will get you the best price. And, you know, I've been hitting with the Ruby Pro. This just came out. This is 6-0's latest paddle. And it's a Gen 2 paddle. And it plays like a Gen 2 paddle. But a really good Gen 2 paddle. Just did a whole review on it. But it got me thinking. And I was wondering if folks think Gen 2 paddles are still relevant. And so you and I, we have a little Instagram channel. Folks, if you're not following Matthew K. Pickleball on Instagram, follow us, because then you can participate. You can then join our channel where we kind of try to give like sneak peeks at different things and sort of do a mini it's like you're seeing our podcast but in text form on a semi-regular basis. But I asked the group, our 2 followers, no, I'm just kidding, we got a couple more. I asked them if they thought Gen 2 paddles were still relevant, and most actually said yes. And then there were a few folks that said only for beginners. But no one that participated in the poll as of yet said they're not, or said they aren't relevant, or said that they're irrelevant. And so I was pretty heartened. In fact, at Open Play today, someone I've never seen there before was already hitting with one of these. It was very funny though, Wilson. And then we'll talk about our gear. But he didn't know me and I didn't know him. And like he just did his first tournament, like beginner level, I think like 2-0 or something. And
with the Ruby Pro?
I don't know if it was the Ruby Pro. I'm guessing since that's the paddle he had. I think he had done it the weekend prior. But for him it had a lot of power. And I was actually testing another paddle. Spoiler alert, the Opal. And I wasn't doing my best. And I haven't played for a while. And then he came up to me after the game and he's like, and this was like a recurring thing with him. Like he would be like, yeah, you know, I could have, if I had done a little bit, few things different, I think that would turn out, you know, if we had both done a few things differently, I think that could have turned out better. And it was just funny because like he totally thought I was like brand new to pickleball, which I wasn't going to tell him like, yo, dude, I'm like a pro. No, I'm not a pro, guys. We all know that. But it was just funny. I guess he was at that beginners tournament and just like, we were playing people against, you know how I play with like some older folks in the morning all the time, and that's how I get my soft game.
Your dinks in.
My dinks. Well, not today. Freaking everyone's blasting balls. Even I can't find slow games nowhere. But I was playing with people I know, and it was just funny. Like he said, "I suck and you suck." And it's like, dude, I don't suck. I mean, I'm okay. But no, it was. I don't know why I shared that, other than I thought it was kind of funny. But I guess to explain, so I finally got the 6-0 black Opal, and so this is now it's the follow up to the Ruby Pro, and so the Ruby Pro is a Gen 2 paddle with a ton of like crazy tech in it. In fact, I think some folks would have called it Gen 3 because the Ruby Pro has some enhancements in here, which I think other companies would have just said were foam enhancements and then called it a Gen 3. But this is not a Gen 3 paddle. This is a Gen 4, and it's very different. It's using solid, rigid, high-density foams, and it's largely non-compressible according to the owner of 6-0 compared to a lot of the other foams that are used in paddles. And then it's utilizing a frame, what they call a carbon light frame. And so I don't know if it's a monocoque paddle. I'm pretty certain. And I will say, I don't think that diamond grit is quite I don't think is spinning off the surface as the Ruby Pro. And I have a feeling they had to reduce that for the Opal because the dwell compared to the Gen 2 version, I don't think they could have passed the PB core testing is my bet. So, but I could be wrong, but it doesn't feel as gritty as the Ruby Pro. And this thing is a little different. This is gonna take me a while to dial in, to be honest. And so that was the point of that story. I was not playing my best. I also haven't played for so long, but it was noticeable. And so this thing has power, but it's just taking me a while to just like really get the feel of it. Like it's not like it doesn't feel exactly like another paddle that I've hit with, which makes sense because it doesn't seem to be made like another paddle I've hit with. And so my first impression, like after just a little bit of time on it, is you can really put some power. You can really get some power out of this. And I think with some getting used to the paddle, you'll be able to do the finesse game, but it's not like out of the box familiar feeling. So,
How did it sound? Did it have the Gen 4 thud?
It definitely, if you hit center there, if I remember, I don't remember. Actually, I'm thinking of a different paddle I tested this morning. I don't remember if it had a crazy sound. I bet you make every paddle have a crazy sound because I've never hit the center. I
Well,
like to hit here and here and
you like to
here.
test the
But
paddles, right? The sweet spot.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, this is definitely more powerful than the Ruby Pro.
Mhm.
And it's just gonna take me a minute to like feel it out. I think it's not like the Ruby Pro. I could pick up, like it was very familiar. This is unusual. And that doesn't mean that's bad. It's just gonna take me a beat to test this out. And hopefully I'll have some time this weekend because I do want to get this video out. And I'm actually not sure when it's being released because 6-0 had some issues over in Asia. And so this was actually supposed to come out before the Ruby Pro. But all this is to say it's a very unique paddle. I know people are very, like, I think people might have wanted the Ruby Pro to be like a power paddle. This is a power paddle. It's just the feel is different, but not to say good or bad. It's just I'm gonna actually have to spend some time on this one before I can really give too much thoughts. But my first impression is powerful with a unique feel, and so hopefully that helps some folks. Also, just looks awesome.
Do you have
I love this design.
the prices on those two, the Pro and the Opal?
The Pro, I definitely listed the price over
Okay,
in the video. I don't have it
got
in
it.
front of me. I believe this will be 250.
Okay.
I don't know if that's pre or post code. But yeah, definitely if you pick one up, promo code Matthew K over on the 60's website will get you the lowest price. And yeah, they really believe in this though. They're doing the 12-month warranty, and so it's cool to see. Like I really like the Ruby Pro. I don't know if I could main the Ruby Pro just because um, I probably need a power assist more than many players, and so this definitely has a power assist. And so, all
If
right,
you
my
were
friend,
to play a money ball with me or a tournament with me, what this weekend, which paddle would you be using?
bro, you
If you had to
know,
grab one, what would it
right?
be? Would it be
Yeah,
the J2H?
I'm at such a like tricky transition point right now.
Uh-huh.
At a tournament, can you switch a paddle
Yeah.
while during the game, or do you have to play with the? All right.
No,
So
you
to be
just you,
honest,
you just have to wait for the point to be over, and I'm sure they won't mind if you switched out your paddle.
all
Yeah.
right. So if I had to pick a paddle and I didn't have like flexibility, like if I didn't have the opportunity, oh, this isn't clicking. Um, like if I was unable to like switch paddles,
Hmm.
I would probably do the J2H plus because I still prefer Gen 3 paddles, probably over foam paddles in general, and I'm very used to that paddle. That was
Hmm.
my main for like most of 2025. If I have the ability to switch paddles during the play, like during a game, I would actually probably do the elongated Ronbus Quanta, which I'm about to
Oh.
release my video. And yes, I'm an outlier. I'm in the minority. That thing is stock, other than the grip. I would not. I don't have weight on that, and that would let me play my normal hybrid game. Especially, would I be partnered with you in this scenario?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, if I'm partnered with you, and if you weren't fooling around like you do sometimes when we're testing paddles, if you were playing a normal power forward game, but you do have a lot of finesse, but if you're doing the drives, like I would feel comfortable doing the Quanta because I could
Okay.
still stay fast at the net, and then I would have on standby. Um, I would have on standby. Yeah, I mean, I think I would do the Quanta, and then on standby, I had a different paddle. I guess I'll have on standby. Well, you know, that's a good transition because if it's just for fun, I'm gonna bring a different paddle
Yeah.
to have on. And it's what? Let's just move on to it. I
Okay.
think if I was playing this weekend with you, I would be playing with this thing, the Adidas AdiPower, the Control standard
Mm,
version, 60
okay.
millimeter.
That's a
Because,
hot take.
dude,
That's another hot take, huh?
it is a hot take. If I was playing this weekend, because I would just want to play with this because I played with this morning, and yeah, let's talk about it. Like, um, I know you got some early hits, and we talked about on the pod last week, and you weren't loving the new Adidas paddles. I know you were texting me, you had some new thoughts. And you know what? As someone that's had a more, just remember, I just said this is the one I'm gonna have the Quanta, and this is gonna be my backup paddle. All right. So I obviously like this thing, but do you have any updated thoughts you want to share with folks?
Yeah. So I think the 14 millimeter Adidas Pro, the AdiPower Pro. I really like the 14 millimeter elongated. I've grown to actually be able to play with this fine and competitively. Um, I basically it feels like a 16 millimeter because of how head heavy they are. Their swing weights are pretty high up there for their respective versions, the thicknesses, and the fact that they're elongated. So the 14 millimeter really plays more like a 16 millimeter, and still the 16 millimeter. I have to say that I can't quite play with it very. Competitively with. I can't play with it competitively. Number one, the two grips. I'm very sure because just from the way they feel, the 16 millimeter, the 16 millimeter grip just feels thicker than the 14 millimeter, and it's like significantly chunky. So we'll that's kind of a deal breaker because you can't really reduce the grip size. You can make it bigger, but you can't really reduce it. And the fact that it feels really head heavy just in the hand, I don't have that control and the hand speed I need in a competitive environment. So that's why I kind of toned it down, or I took a step down and I went with the 14 millimeter. And I put a lot more time in the 14 millimeter elongated AdiPower. And I've grown to really like it. I could play a tournament with the 14 millimeter, no problem at all. Um, Matt, for your control, your standard shape, is yours the 14 or the 16?
So the standard only comes in 16. And so, but what you're describing is exactly how I felt about, not exactly. Yours is a more extreme version, but
Hmm.
for the Agassi Pro 4 1416, I actually preferred the thinner Agassi Pro,
Hmm.
which is a similar Gen 3 build. And it's just not that the 16 just the thinner one had a slight power reduction, um,
Yeah.
and was more controllable for me. I think the Adidas powers, the AdiPowers, AdiPower. What is that? How do we call
AdiPower, I
it?
guess.
Say it.
Yeah.
AdiPower. I don't know. AdiPower. The new Adidas paddles. I think you are a little bit of a disadvantage having those chunkier handles, because it makes it even harder to like. It just changes another factor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think sometimes the thinner Gen 3 versions are my preference. And but I actually got some info on this. So everything you said makes sense to me, and you are an elongated player, or you play with a lot of elongated paddles, so I definitely uh and it's not like you don't play with super powerful paddles, so I think the
Hmm.
fact that you don't like the thicker one compared to the thinner one, it does sound like the grip is playing a major factor though.
Yeah.
And so I
Grip
think if you wanted
and
to,
the swing weight. It's a little too much
yeah.
on the 16. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you could throw some of that Bodhi pickleball weighted tape, and then feel free to just take the grip off.
That's
I know
true.
some people just put it over grip, but
Hmm.
I mean that's not ideal. I mean, we talked about this last podcast. I do think Adidas is really emphasizing. This is my hypothesis. I don't have this confirmed, but I think they're getting a lot of feedback and playtesting info from their pro players, which they are like former tennis players, I'm sure, and like they prefer those bigger grips, and head heavy's not as big of a deal to them. But anyway, I'm excited about this line, because this is an unusual take on Gen 3 builds. They're using something they call a tri-foam edge reinforcement, and then it's utilizing polypropylene honeycomb, uh, that they're describing as low density cores or low density polypropylene. So I don't know if that means they're 10 millimeter cells. Like, I don't know if it means they're bigger cells, so less plastic, making it lower density, or if it's more like the cell walls are thinner and it's
Hmm.
still 8 millimeter. Regardless, it's they're claiming it's a low density polypropylene or core material. And so, first off, I'm a fan of lower density polypropylene, however you achieve it. I'm a fan. I talk about that quite a bit in my PaddleTech GTOC and my ESQC videos, and even with the Ruby Pro, that's using crazy wide core cells, which then creates a lower density polypropylene. And so basically, all of, for the Ruby Pro in particular, like it really wraps the ball, which really makes placing a lot easier. But Gen 3's a little different because they're more powerful. And so, I think that's cool that they've done that with they're incorporating low density polypropylene. But the big thing that I think is unique about this is it's Gen 3, but it is not like the Gen 3 configurations we've seen before. Basically, right here, it's got a big chunk of foam up here, and then it's got them on the sides. Except down here, it like puzzle pieces. So, the notch foam from Honolulu does something similar up here, except it's foam on foam. This is foam on polypropylene. And I think for me, with this paddle in particular, and this is a standard shape, it is their control version, but it's locking more. And so that core, because this is actually the honeycomb actually runs all the way into the handle, so it's in the diving board configuration, which I'm not a big fan of that always. I tend to like when the foam wraps fully around and encircles
Like a floating core.
But a floating core. But I think this puzzle piecing up here helps secure that, which helps mute it, gives you a firmer ball feel, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about as much propulsiveness in short flat hits. And also, aside from I guess the Scorpius from Yola, there aren't a lot of standard Gen 3 paddles available. Honolulu leaked some photos a long time ago of their J3 Plus, but that's yet to see the light of day. And so I think this is, for me, I play with this, and this cracks. This has a thunk. And I was like looking like I knew how to play pickleball. This wasn't that game where I'm getting stung by bees, Wilson. I was, it was going, it was fun. So much I had to put it back in the bag because I had to go test other paddles, because this was just like, but I will say 100%, Adidas has hurt themselves, has limited who can get this paddle, because this grip, even for this one, the standard, which would be for more control oriented players, it's a beefy handle. It reminds me of the very first version of Kiwi Labs. What was the Slyce? Which that very, very first version of the Slyce had I thought it was a great feeling handle, and that's when I like my grips like this big. And then they slimmed it down because their consumers were like, well, that's too thick. And lots of folks really like thinner handles. Like, we're seeing companies do 4.125 circumference, and Adidas is advertising these as 4.25, give or take. Like, they have that in the description. And 4.25 is, I think, target with an overgrip. And so for me, I did want to put overgrip on it, and so I actually used, I haven't really given this secret out. I've only told you, Wilson, no one else, but I gotta tell, if you're listening to this podcast, you deserve to know. This is an overgrip called Palbia, and it's on Amazon. They are made for padel. They do have pickleball versions, which are a little shorter as well. And they're the absolute best value tacky grip you can find. They only come in white, which is a pain point for me. But they're like a really, really thin Turna Mega Tack, but in white. And so if you want a really thin overgrip, you've used one of these. Can you confirm they're like glue?
Oh yeah, they're definitely really tacky. I get some sweaty hands, and it really sticks. It's definitely
Yeah.
tacky.
But they're perfect for this paddle because they're probably the thinnest overgrips I've been able to find. And so check them out. I'll leave a link. And yeah, I was always hesitant to share because one time I had another overgrip that I would get from Amazon back when I was first starting out reviewing paddles. And I would buy it would come in a really big box and they'd be really cheap. And they were like all my under grips when I would build paddle grips up, but then they stopped selling them. And so now I'm always paranoid if like, if they get too popular, if they'll raise the price or just run out. But folks, Palbia, I think that's how you say it. They're big in paddle, but yeah, they make really thin over grips that are super tacky.
Yeah. They just need a they just need a dry grip. I've grown to be able to play with tacky grips, but I think my still preferred choice of grip is the dry grips. But it's all
All
right.
right.
It's pretty cheap. I can't complain.
Yeah. You know, you should try the Gearbox dry grips because they're really
Okay.
thin too.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah. So you're testing out the ATTK version of the AdiPower Pro
Uh,
1614, and what's interesting, those are both USAP and UPA approved. This is the control version.
mhm.
It is not UPA approved as far as I can figure
Oh.
out. I did check USAP's site though, and it is listed. And the thing about Adidas, they're a really big company, um, and their pickleball part is not like. What are you looking at there, Wilson?
Oh, it's just the 14 millimeter says UPA approved, and the 16 does not. But maybe it, it's an earlier model or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
did check both all the sites, and so yeah, but
nice.
maybe it's not printed on yours.
Hmm.
And then I would just suggest so the Adidas website. I think the pickleball site is a different website, but what I suggest is getting your Adidas paddles from Pickleball Central. That's actually who provided us with the review units. And what's cool about Pickleball Central is that they do a 30-day test drive. If you don't love the paddles, you can return them for a full refund. And we're always saying, like, you really got to demo a paddle,
Yeah.
especially these stranger paddles. And then the cool thing about PB Central is every time you buy something, you get store credit to use on future purchases. So if you're a paddle
Nice.
addict, if you buy from them, you can start building up a little savings account with PB Central. And the sticker price is $189. And if you use my Pickleball Central link, that should help make sure you get the best price. Yeah. And so that's all I got. I'm actually think. Do you want to revise last week? I think you might have said, I haven't clipped it yet. I think you might have said Adidas is on track to maybe another flop. Do you think
No,
differently after
yeah.
you've had some more
After
time?
putting some more time in it, and specifically the 14 millimeter one, th this is probably their best pickleball paddle yet. It's totally, definitely playable. The 14 millimeter version. The 16
All right.
millimeter, maybe if they can revise the handle a little bit, or reduce the swing weight, it could be a good contender too. Yeah, I mean, sweet spot's pretty good. Power is up there with all the other Gen 3 paddles. Um, it's definitely a good paddle. And if you happen to be really big and you have really big hands, you might want to check it out. It might be something you're looking for. It's yeah, I got a
Yes.
chunky handle.
Well, you're definitely not as excited about the elongated as I am about this standard because this would be the paddle I'd have as my backup paddle for that
Yeah.
hypothetical money ball. Because yeah, I think a Gen 3 build in a standard that was fun, and I like that stability with those notches here. Very
Mm.
interesting. So I do think I'm gonna hit with yours.
Yeah.
But so far, this I think might be the standout of the three. I'm not sure people are testing this one as much as the elongated because I think power paddle you think elongated, but
Yeah.
this is the one I think to look out for. And that now brings us. So we just talked about a Gen 3 paddle. We've been asking the question: is honeycomb still relevant? and just like we're like the Black Opal, the AdiPower, like all these paddles sort of like putting their own spin on like what a pickleball paddle, how it's constructed, how it's built, what's it made of. And I mean, I think we might be at a point in pickleball. Like, I think for the longest time, and I don't know, this is still the case for a lot of folks, but it's like, how powerful is it? How poppy is it? And I think with how USAP has sort of like steered things, I want to hear what you think, Wilson. I think paddle feel might be like really the differentiator between paddles these days. And I think that like just how a paddle feels as opposed to like, and it's more abstract than like how powerful or poppy, but I think that's going to be the big question of like how you choose a paddle. Am I sounding crazy? What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I hope the power level, stays where it is now, or I hope it doesn't get any more powerful, or else it's just gonna, like everybody says, it's gonna become mini tennis. Um, And I hope that companies will redirect themselves from power to more of the control or feel of a paddle. If a paddle is more dense or hollow, or if it's, more rigid or soft and cradling. I think I really hope paddle technology will kind of, or companies will invest more time and R&D to towards paddle feel, and control, as opposed to power now, because now that we have foam and Gen 3, I think Gen 3 is basically the pinnacle of honeycomb technology right now. Unless something else comes up, I'm all for, innovation. But right now, Gen 3 is the pinnacle of honeycomb, and Gen 4 is full foam cores. So, we have both options for the consumers, and power's already up there. I mean, I think Jack Sock was able to serve like a 60 or 60 plus mile an hour serve with the boomstick, and I definitely don't want it going any more powerful than that. And so, yeah, I really hope the differentiator, amongst all the paddles now, will be the feel. And I think that'll allow us reviewers to better compare the paddles, as opposed to, oh, this one's powerful, oh, this one's a little more powerful, and oh, this is the most powerful so far. It'll give more dimensions to the paddles and the reviewing process. So yeah, I really hope. Did that go too deep there? Uh,
you
uh,
went you went deep. You went. I felt
were you
that was
expecting a
getting
yes, I agree?
philosophical. I
You-
thought I was
yes, I
expecting
agree
a
with you,
little
Max.
shorter.
My bad.
Fair
Um,
enough. Yeah, I get long-winded too. And it's like for the life of me, I'm trying to find a little. I had a note for something as well, and I just it's escaped me. So I was like, man, he's really going on about this.
I
But
have
all
no
right,
notes. I have no notes in front of me, so that's why I might have rambled on. Sorry about that.
I did
Um,
no sorries. I do it all the time. But that is a good transition to what I'm sporting right here. You see what this says? Forge and Bond, F&B Sports. They are a brand new company, and they've released a new paddle. I think it's coming out. It's available now. I believe I just checked their website. And yeah, this is made differently and feels different. And so I thought we'd walk through this a little bit. This is one of the paddles I got to hit with today, and so I have a few early thoughts. But I know you've been hitting with it.
mhm.
Do you want to maybe you hinted at what you I know what you thought the early on when you were testing it, but
Mhm.
what's your feelings on the paddle, and then maybe I could break down some of what I've gotten from the company.
Yeah, so from general observation, I think it is more of an all-court paddle. It has some pretty nice technology. How I think it's similar to like a monocoque design where it's like a frame and handle, and then the face and core is possibly a little not separated, but
You know
built a
what?
little differently. Huh?
I have some info on that, and so why don't I
Yeah,
go through the tech a little bit, and
sounds
then
good.
we'll both talk about what we thought play wise. So I'm
Okay.
not sure if it's monocoque in the sense that monocoque, my understanding, is the frame is a single piece. I do
Yeah, it's
believe,
not.
yeah, I do believe this is assembled, but it creates a
Yeah.
similar effect. And so, yeah, let's just break it down.
All right.
FNB, new company, their first release is the Runout paddle. And so it's coming in three different shapes. You've been hitting with the elongated, and yeah, their target swing weight for that one is 115 to 118 with the target twist weight of 6 to 6.4. So compared to some of the elongated that you've been hitting with, that's, not quite as powerful, right? As
Mm-hmm.
many of them. The hybrid, this is the hybrid, very unusual hybrid shape. And it's got. I thought it felt pretty heavy when I first picked it up. When I started playing with it, though, I did not think that. But it does have a target 111 to 114 swing weight, and then 6.4 to 6.8 twist weight. And then they have a standard as well. I'm trying to get that one. That one has a swing weight of 105 to 110 with a twist weight of 6.7 to 7, or those are the targets. And yeah, this is a very unusual build. It's supposed to be 12.7 millimeters, so that's thin. And then, yeah, instead of being monocoque, it is a frame paddle. And so basically, what I've been told is the entire handle and edge guard are made. This is what they told me from a proprietary material called fusion fiber that is a thermoplastic forged carbon fiber. And so I believe that's assembled though. So not
Yeah.
exactly monocoque. But the other thing about it is they kind of broke down the tech because it's not really. It's kind of hard to label what generation of paddle this is, but that brings me to another interesting part of this company. So basically, the I think one of the people that's starting this company is actually someone I met at the bread and butter tourney, who was actually Pursuit's partner,
Mm.
Steve, and I don't know if he's the only. I don't know if this is like he's one person that's part of a team, but he's a pickle. He was a reviewer for paddles over at this website called Pickleheads, so he's hit a lot of paddles. But it seems he also got Justin over from Pickleball Etc. involved. And so I don't know if he designed the whole paddle or just gave feedback because Justin, he like consults with paddle companies on different things. I think that's okay to say, but that he was involved with this. But he sort of explained some of the tech, and basically he says it has similarities to the C45, which I've reviewed on the channel, as well as the Bantams, but it's not thermoformed in the traditional sense. And really, he broke it down. And so I'll just share what he shared with me because it's a little in the weeds of when it comes to manufacturing process description. But basically, he's explained to me the full panel of core and faces are made first, then they're cut to size, and then they're channel routed for EVA, and then everything is assembled. And that part, everything assembled, is like the kind of proprietary magic part. But yeah, they're got honeycomb. It sounds like, or the well, actually, he didn't confirm that, but I'm presuming. Yeah, I'm presuming there's honeycomb involved, but
I
whatever the
think in one
core
of
material.
the illustrations on the website, it did show that it was honeycomb,
Okay,
and it
okay,
feels
got
that
it.
way
Okay,
too. Yeah.
yeah, it does yeah. Well, yeah, and so, but yeah, so you've got the core material, the face, But yeah, it's very, very different. I don't know. I've got a little edge tape on mine, but if you look, that is a very, that is not just like an edge guard. This material is very unique. And so that's that carbon fiber part.
I do like the fusion
And
fiber design on the edge guard and handle. Yeah.
yes, you told me you really like the handle.
Yeah.
I also really like the handle. And Pickleball Etc. is a real stickler when it comes to handles. So it makes sense like that their handle's great. But let's go over what you thought of yours. And I've
Mhm.
only put like a few hits on mine, but I'm not sure. I already know what you're gonna say, and I got thoughts. So
All
say
right.
yours, and then I'll say my thoughts.
All right. I'll just go down from bottom to the top. Like I said earlier, the handle is great. I think it's two pieces of their fusion fiber handles uh, put together, so there's no like wooden or wooden slats or foam slats that could make the handle feel like odd or have any sharp points. It's just basically two pieces sandwiched together, so you don't feel any honeycomb on the sides or anything. So it's a really good handle. It's probably one of the better feeling handles that I've played with. Um, Now going to the feel of the paddle. The sweet spot's great, and I think it's because of how rigid it is. This is probably the thinnest paddle I've ever played with out of all of them, out of all the paddles I have right now. What was it, 12 point something millimeters? Um,
12.7.
12.7 millimeters. So that's pretty on the thin side, definitely. Um, so it feels really rigid. However, that allows it to have a pretty good sweet spot. It has, like I said, it's earlier. It's more of an all-court paddle. It has pretty good control for a 12.7 millimeter paddle. It has a pretty good sweet spot. There isn't too much power behind it. Stock. I can experiment with some weight to see how it feels. Um, but that kind of goes with most thinner paddles. You know, they have a reduction in power. But yeah, overall, it was great at the net, great at the kitchen line. Um, I enjoyed it. But you know, it's definitely lacking some power. It's in the all core category if that is what you are looking for. But the feel of the paddle is really good. I really enjoy playing with it. Um,
All right.
yeah, yeah, it's good. What
All
did you think
right.
about yours?
Well, see, I think well, I imagine this yeah, I think Wilson, you've maybe just been hitting with power paddles too much
That's
cuz
true.
I um I think maybe it is like this is a hybrid, but it's got this stretched out bottom, so it's going to have a bigger sweet spot. You're going to get more power more often.
Hmm.
But I thought this was powerful. I thought the Ruby Pro was all court. And so if I'm classifying the Ruby Pro as all court, this is power. It's not crazy power like some of the foam, but I do think this is a paddle. I think paddles out of the box should play like if they need to be customized, they should be customized for power. But yeah, it is a thin paddle, and so it's not gonna be crazy powerful. What was different is I thought it was very pingy. Um,
Yeah.
uh, and so that's a very unique feel. I could see why it's compared to the Franklin C45. But once again, back to what I was saying regarding how like the paddles really are like they're all have their. I think the big differentiator with paddles now that we know the power and pop ceilings and companies can just build paddles to that is
Yeah.
really going to be the feel or the personality of the paddle. And this paddle just is different. It feels different. It's unique, and so it is one of those situations where like you kind of have to like hit with it to find out if it's a fit for you. It's got a lot of personality. That's how I would describe it.
It's
And
unique. It's
we'll
definitely
see.
unique.
Very unique. And I did want to clarify. I do think that handle you described that as maybe like assembled, or there are two pieces. I do want to clarify. Like this whole frame becomes a single piece. I
Yeah.
just don't know if it can be classified as monocoque if it's assembled in that way, as opposed to like made in a mold or however a
I see.
monocoque
Yeah.
paddle is made. But it feels like one piece. Like there are no slats in the handle, to my knowledge. Definitely no.
No.
There's no exposed honeycomb. It feels like one piece, and it feels awesome, reminiscent of like the. I mean, I haven't felt it in a long time, but I think Ohm, that is a monocoque paddle. I think like yeah, it's a really nice handle. But yeah, it's different. I'm gonna have to put a lot more time on this. But yeah, if you want to be like a trailblazer, check them out. Promo code Matthew K is set up over there, and I do believe they're available.
Also, yeah, it's a unique company, but um, one thing is that it's made and assembled here in the US, I think in Utah. So that's kind of cool if you want to support a US brand, or actually you like a paddle that's made in the US, like some of the Engage paddles and possibly Paddle Tech. But yeah, made in Utah. So
Yes, yes, that's actually manufactured here, and
yeah.
so that is how I understand it as well. And a lot of paddles that say made in the USA are actually just assembled in the USA. This, they've got a
Yeah.
factory, they've done everything. And that is very unique. And also, I think pretty smart, because with the way the tariffs are going, like, or even just think about how we were just talking about, like, 6 Zeros had delays on the Black Opal because of I think there's flooding in Asia, or there's a holiday. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think having a US based production is gonna put them in a good place if something crazy happens. And so definitely a company to watch, definitely out of the gate with something impressive. And so we need to get some more time on these, but
Hmm.
yeah, their site is live. And
Yeah.
this is crazy, Wilson. We got freaking influencers and creators making paddles.
Yeah.
But they're not the only ones. Justin and Steven, we got PickleballWill has come out with his own paddle company called MyCityPB. And first off, we just need to be quiet for a second and look at how beautiful the governor. This is the Los Angeles version. Look at that. We got all the color on the edge guard. This thing is about as pretty as a paddle can get. What do you have over there? What city do you have?
How do I even? I can't even tell. Which one's the orange
I
one?
think
It's
you had Austin, I think.
I don't know the skyline. Can someone tell me? I've probably never been here
I think
before,
you
but
I think you got Austin. This is
okay.
Los Angeles. But basically, I'll run through the tech real quick. PickleballWill, known for being like one of the trailblazing content creators, kind of like took a break from content creation, and now we know what he's been working on: a freaking paddle company, MyCityPB. And this is a Gen 3 paddle. They're all elongated, but I don't think you know this. 10 millimeter honeycomb,
Oh,
and so it's Gen 3 build, so dual edge foam, raw carbon fiber, but it also has fiberglass in its face material. And then the big thing about this whole company is it has a very straightforward, right now, one paddle, but different designs. And so he's all about like having the opportunity to represent your community. And so each paddle is designed for a specific city. And there are a ton of them. There's Tulsa, Austin, Hamburg, and then, of course, beautiful Los Angeles, and lots more. And then, yeah, the gist of it is Gen 3 elongated. And after promo code Matthew K, It's a very good deal for what you're getting at $171. And so I think I haven't gotten to hit with mine yet. I have Los Angeles, and then I also have Seattle, which I think is I really like the way this one looks. But you've actually taken it to the courts. You've avoided all the Bs. What did you think? I don't know. I can't remember if you've hit with a lot of Gen 3
Yeah, I got
elongated
some. I mean,
before.
I had my 11.624 Hirachi power, so that was kind of cool. That's something I could compare it to. Um, and what else? I mean, I had played with the Adidas. But yeah, anyways, it's a pretty great mm, run-of-the-mill Gen 3. Straight off, it did have the nice pop and power. Um, Love the elongated grip is fine. But one thing I noticed that it was not as stable as some of the other paddles, other Gen 3s that I've played with. Um, it definitely felt a little twisty in the hands on off-centered hits. The sweet spot was a little small, but this is just my first session, my one and only session, about maybe 2 hours worth of playtime. Um, and I do know, like everybody knows, that Gen 3 has a break-in period. So I'll put in some more time to see if the sweet spot widens up, or if anything, if it feels any better. Because initially I felt like the Adidas paddles were kind of, the sweet spots were kind of small, but the more I played with it, it did open up a little bit more. So that's what I'm hoping for in this My City paddle. But yeah, right now in that one session, if I hit the sweet spot, it feels pretty good. Yeah, I think it's a great paddle if you wanna if you like the design and you want to support your local city or the city that you live in, or if you just want to support Pickleball Will. Yeah, it's not a bad paddle.
Yeah.
I
Well,
Mhm.
yeah. I've met Pickleball Will, and yeah,
Oh,
Wilson. Pickleball Will is a very good player. It sounds like you just need to be hitting center more.
I
Sounds
know.
like I. But yeah, I do think the Gen 3, the break in period. So we'll circle back once we put some time on it. But I did want to highlight. So I think he was sending me this one, and I asked him to send you one to test as well. But then I
Hmm.
was like, I'd really like to get a Los Angeles one. And I don't think he had one. And so he ended up sending me, I think, like one that he had done tests on because it had like markings from, it looked like if you watch John, he actually
Was it John
toured
Q's
John
paddle?
Q's like, and I don't, maybe it was, but he had like lines, I think, from a PB core test. And I was like, what? Because I want to take some photos. I was like, what do I do with that? And then I broke out my pickleball cleaner,
Oh.
and I've tried a lot of cleaners before, and this one's from BearNaked. And dude, it cleaned the whole thing off. And yeah, and so people are always asking me, and I wanted to ask you real quick
Mm,
because it's a very controversial topic.
okay.
Um, Cleaning paddles. Like it all came up when when Kevlar and titanium came onto the scene because like not everyone would recommend using a paddle eraser.
Hmm.
And then people would always be asking me how to clean paddles, and I used to recommend I used Reset paddle cleaner for a while,
Hmm.
but this stuff I like even better. And my go-to recommendation is, especially for non-raw carbon fiber paddles, although I know it's a complex topic because there's peel ply and all this different stuff. And then some people like recommend not, like some people just say wipe the ball dust off as you play. I don't do that. Like my paddle looks wrecked after every session. So my recommendation is I like Bare Naked. I've used it. And then buy makeup makeup cleaner. Like people use this for their face. This is like a little microfiber sponge. I'll leave a link for Amazon but these I think do the best. It's better than like BearNaked. Like they've got a microfiber cloth. So microfiber works. But my experience, these little makeup cleaner pads
Oh,
are the
quick
best.
question.
That
Sorry.
combined with
Uh,
a cleaner.
for the people listening to the podcast, for Bare Naked, is it just a spray on or is it an eraser type cleaner?
Ah, all right. For our radio listeners, it is a little spray.
Okay.
And so you could also just do a little spritz of water. But this one really grabbed onto the stuff for me. And yeah, I'm actually set up. Promo code Matthew K will get you a deal with that. But so this is what I do: Bare Cleaner, microfiber makeup sponge cleaner thing. I'll leave a link. I forget what they're called. I don't wear a lot of makeup typically, so I actually had to do a bunch of trial and error because I also tried doing wax sponges for dealing with car detailing, and I've gone through a lot of different ones, but this is the one that I've tested that I like. This combo is my favorite result, but I also think Reset is a good cleaner, and if you but also a spritz of water does a good job too, and
Yeah.
I just recommend that. It's hard for me to know, like, if you use a paddle eraser on on a carbon fiber or on a Kevlar, you risk like grabbing a. If your face is damaged, you can pull out a piece of the weave, or a piece of the face material, and lots of folks are kind of dismissive of that, like, just use an eraser on Kevlar or titanium, because if there's a thread popping out, that's a damaged paddle. But I've actually had a paddle that's damaged, and no one wants to damage it more. And so, yes, like the peel ply is what a carbon fiber paddle has for both titanium or polyester, as well as Kevlar. But if your paddle's damaged and there's something poking out, using a carbon fiber or a paddle eraser could pull it out and make it worse. But yeah, if your paddle's not damaged, especially for Kevlar, you probably could use a paddle eraser. But if it's damaged and you don't know it, you can make it worse.
Yeah.
And so I do recommend using a microfiber and a spritz of water, or you could upgrade to like the Bare Naked and the makeup cleaner. But what are your thoughts? How do you clean
Oh,
paddles? Are you just using an
yeah.
eraser on everything?
No, I don't even use an eraser. I have an eraser in my bag just in case. However, I rarely do I clean my paddles at the courts. I just have a yellow microfiber towel from Costco that I set aside for my paddles, and I just wet it, and then I rinse it out, and then I wring it, and then I just kind of wipe the surface in a couple
Yeah.
directions. And
Okay.
then I just kind of let them air dry. I mean, I guess you could technically use another microfiber towel to dry it, but I just do a quick wipe. I and then I that's usually it for me for my paddle maintenance, other than replacing the
Fair
edge
enough.
tape or grip. Yeah. So yeah, just water and a
Got it.
microfiber
Well,
towel.
great. So it doesn't sound like you're. Are you anti purchasing a paddle cleaner?
No, no. If it works.
Huh?
If it does a better job than a paddle eraser or water, I'm all for it. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've seen your sweet spot, dude. You might need to use some
I should.
freaking Bare Naked, because that
Yeah.
thing don't look clean. All right. But anyway, yeah, I used that on the governor because he had some markings on it, and it came out pretty well, and so I was pretty
Nice.
impressed. But yeah, we're gonna hit with these some more,
Hmm.
and you know what? I think that brings us to the end of our paddle testing thing, folks. You might not know it because I might have done an excellent editing job, but we've had like 4 technical issues recording this, and
My bad.
so we're just happy to get to this point. And I don't know, Wilson. I'm down to skip it. Do you want to do the tip of the week still?
No,
We're at
let's do it
over an
real
hour. Do
quick.
you want to do a tip of?
Let's do it
All
real
right.
quick. Yeah.
Today we got a tip of the week. Tip of the week presented by our friends over at Bodhi Pickleball. If you're hunting for overgrips, if you're hunting for whatever accessory you need for pickleball, Bodhi probably has it. So check them out. Promo code Matthew K gets you the best deal, and take it away. Make us better at pickleball, Wilson.
Yeah, so my paddle of the week, my tip of the week, is for our resets. You know, now with so many bangers out there and people who love driving the balls with their power paddles, I think resetting and countering is very important. But yeah, so resetting. My tip for resetting is that number one, three-step process. Number one, you want to keep your paddle in front of you. You don't want to bring it too far back behind you out of your vision, out of your view. You just want to keep it in front. Everything, all the ball contact and everything should be in front of you in a reset. You're not actually adding power to it. You are resetting the ball. So you just know swinging is not required in a reset. Number two, you want to get low and balanced as possible. And the reason is that you can keep a better eye on the ball when they're driving the ball at you. Just like in baseball, how a catcher can catch 100-mile-an-hour ball while a batter may strike out. You know, they're seeing the same ball, but at a different angle. If you are nice and low and you're watching the ball coming at you, you have better time to react to it and catch the ball in front of you, as opposed to having it fly down at you or up at you, like a batter. Anyways, so yeah, keep the paddle in front of you, number one. Number two, stay low and balanced so that you can also react to wherever the ball goes. And number three, what was number three? Soft grip. You don't want to hold it too hard. If you hold it too hard, your paddle acts like a wall and it just bounces and transfers the power from your opponent's shot back at them. And that can and often will cause a pop up. So if you keep a soft grip, you can kind of absorb and dissipate some of that power, and you can reset it nicely into their kitchen or in front of them so that they can't attack again. One little tip that I recommend if you have a hard time holding a loose grip while playing pickleball, while you're dinking or doing resets, is get like a small towel or a pool noodle and wrap it around the paddle grip so that you're kind of holding it kind of holding something thick. And then that'll allow you to teach yourself to hold it more softly, as opposed to having like a something thin and grasping it really hard. Wrap a towel around it so you can hold it, and you can practice with that so that you can get learn to use a softer grip so that you can absorb and dissipate some of that power. So yeah, number one, paddle ball contact in front of you. Number two, stay low and balanced. And number three, soft grip. Yeah, that's my tip of the week for resets.
Awesome. And yeah, if you, I'll add on to that. If you, to get that soft hands or looser grip, if you've done the drills, freaking squeezing the pool noodle, and you still struggle, you might think about building your grip up a bit with a couple extra overgrips. That will force you, or buy an Adidas paddle because they're freaking beefy grips as it is. But that will make you hold it a little looser. Or you could also install a Hesicore.
Yeah.
Not the carbon fiber version, but any other version that will beef up your grip some as well. And so you could have softer hands. And so, yeah, awesome. All right, we made it to the end. And as we wrap up, a few giveaway reminders. We've got the Honolulu NF, the Thrive Fury, and the Carbon True Foam Genesis 4. All of those reviews have giveaways. Check those out. And then with my 6.0 Ruby Pro review, we're giving away a pair of Sole Lace pickleball shoes. So make sure you check all of those out. And then make sure you subscribe because we'll be doing a Ronbus Quanta giveaway very soon. And then I've got a few other giveaways that you don't even know about where we're doing some unusual accessories. So make sure you subscribe. But most importantly, I hope you get to pickle soon. And just don't forget, wait, do you hope they get to pickle soon too?
I always hope everyone gets to pickle soon.
You hope so too. All right. And all we want to remind you guys is just don't forget, it's about having fun.
Yeah.